Oh, I'm not going home now. What are you kidding me?
No, you're very excited for this.
We get I know we're based in
we're in
Philadelphia,
Philly's
but
country.
we got an '86 Met, and if you have not watched Once Upon a Time in Queens on ESPN, the 4-part special on the '86 Mets, it doesn't matter whether you like them. Actually, you probably would like it more if you dislike them.
Explain that to me.
The drama of the season, it was so interesting. The story was so good, and there were such different personalities on it. And one of them is going to come on the show, and I believe he's there now. He's here now. Ed Hearn, are you with us?
Yes, sir. How you guys doing?
Doing fantastic. Got a little bit of an echo. If you could talk a little closer to the phone, we can hear you a little louder. For our listeners, World Series champion, former catcher, motivational speaker, author. Ed, thanks so much for giving a few minutes today.
Yeah, you bet. How's that? Sounded good? Better that way?
You sound great.
Go ahead, Jeff. Why don't you kick this all off?
So, Ed, I found in one of my boxes, I don't know if you can see us. We're also doing this on Zoom. So, Ed, if you can see this, I'm going to hold something up and tell me if you've ever seen it before.
I have not. I'm not on Zoom right now. You guys can put me on Zoom, but I can get on Zoom.
It's all good, Jeff. Jeff's holding up a record here for you.
Yeah, so just so you know, I have a fancy copy of the official record of the 1986 New York Mets.
These are the things that Jeff collects.
Yes, where apparently you learned to be an air guitarist.
Yeah, we watched the video, Ed. You
guys are talking about the Let's Go Mets video.
That's what we're talking about.
Do you know that that's actually an official part of your Wikipedia bio, that you are known for your role in the '86 Mets video?
Well, you have to find something I'm known for.
It's always good to be known for something. Jeff loved that team, though.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't know. We were just having a good time, and I guess there was a bat sitting next to me or something, and the song was, we were getting into it. The directors and producers saying, "Come on, you guys, get into it." Okay.
and apparently nobody held back.
No, we weren't known as a group that held back very often.
So we'll get there, but we wanted to talk to you. First of all, there is news as far as catchers go. So originally on our show today, we were going to make this an all-catcher show, and with you beforehand, we were going to have Pat Borders, but he had a game to go to, so we're going to try to get him on another time.
Okay.
Another Royals catcher at one point, although that's not what he's known best for. But
not what I'm known best for either.
there is another Royals catcher who is leading all of baseball in home runs this year, and it's only been done by one other catcher twice, Johnny Bench. And the reason I bring it up is because it made me think when I saw that today how hard it is to play that position defensively and still bat. Can you explain to us, as a guy who's been through that, why it's so hard to be a defensive catcher, do that job, and then go up and hit?
Yeah, absolutely. What he's done this year is absolutely phenomenal. I mean, it is. I mean, that's because it hasn't been done. So, I mean, one or two other guys have been in that area, but I think he broke the record, didn't he? Am I correct in that? Home runs for catcher of the season?
Yeah, he's broken it so far going into the last weekend.
I mean, how do you beat Johnny Bench? I mean, that's incredible. And he did it. Let's not forget to mention that he has done that in a ballpark that is not a home run hitter's ballpark. Right?
Yeah.
You know,
it's crazy. And you guys asked me about, well, why is it so hard for a catcher? Well, because a catcher is the most demanding job on the field. Our first responsibility is not hitting. In other words, the way our game works is, I mean, the outfielders stand in the outfield, and maybe they don't so much today, but they're practicing their swing. They're looking at their swing in the outfield, going, "Oh, I need to field this or that." And you got other guys, checking out tricks in the stands. Catchers don't have the luxury of doing that, and it's the most demanding. And we are in charge out there. So our mentality is we have to take care of the pitcher. Number one, that's our job, and that is an incredible job in that. You've got, today you have 14 or 15 guys in pitching staff. Back when I played, it was 10 or 11. But let's just say it's 10 only. Well, you've got to know not only the makeup of these guys from a pitch selection, and not only what they are their best pitches, but what are the best pitches going that game or even that inning, because it can change throughout a game. It can change from the time you go from the bullpen to the mound. I've seen guys have the worst bullpen sessions. That's why you see the starting catcher almost always catching the last part of the warm up of the pitcher in the bullpen. He goes out there and finishes him off. That's get a feel for what he's got. Well, oftentimes a guy will come in the game and he'll have absolutely nothing in the bullpen, and you're like, oh, long night tonight, and then all of a sudden it snaps on. As a catcher, you got to know that. Beyond that, what I think is what takes away from a catcher and his hitting prowess is the psychological knowledge. You have to be a psychologist to be a good catcher. I mean, you got to know not only what the guy has on the mound and pitches, but you got to know what his makeup is like. And, you talk about leadership in business and leadership in families and leadership in, that's a big word. But as a catcher, leadership is getting the best out of the people that you're leading. And as a catcher, you're leading mainly the pitcher for starters. And that takes an immense amount of mental, physical, and emotional toll.
You're somebody who learned that leadership with their journey through baseball. You're actually a Phillies draft pick. You spent your 8 years in the minors. You're actually the only person who won championships in 4 consecutive years at 4 different levels, 3 of them in the minors. Talk to us about your journey to the majors. We've covered minor league baseball, the long bus rides. What was that experience like for you?
It was fabulous. I mean, I loved my journey in the minor leagues. It was, I think it was one of the best parts of my life, although it was a challenge. I was drafted in the 4th round by the Phillies back in '78. And, I went to a place called Helena, Montana. I mean, that's like 2,000 miles away from my home on the east coast of Florida. And I went out there. It was the first year they ever had a major league team. They treated us like we were kings. I mean, to tell you, they were so ecstatic. I mean, here's a bunch of, Northwest country folks, mountaineers, and here comes a bunch of ball players, and they were treating us like we were Hall of Famers. It was incredible.
And who was your roommate?
Well, I had a couple roommates, but one of them was Ryan Sandberg, and Ryan and I ended up being co-MVPs. Ryan got the players' vote, and I got the fans' vote at the end of the year. So that was pretty special. I led the team home runs and RBIs, and I was a serious prospect. I could throw, I could hit. Things were on top of the world, and then I went through a series of 3 injuries that cost me a year and a half, and I went from being a prospect to a suspect with Phillies. I tore my ankle so bad that Dr. Marone, back then the Phillies doctor, told the organization that I may not walk again, let alone catch. So they basically used me as a hitter, as a kind of like an organizational guy. You have guys in minor leagues that are prospects, and then you have most of the other guys are organizational guys. And you got to fill out a team so the guys that you want developing can develop. And I was used as a first baseman, DH. And eventually, after 6 years, I said to the Phillies, which is a great organization. I loved the organization back then. I said, look, let's be men about this. I'm not gonna be a first baseman DH. I don't hit with that much power. I mean, I was a gap hitter, and in that year I led the team in home runs and still am in the top 8 or 10, I think, in all of Helena baseball in the rookie league there. But I said, I got other things to do. I had an appointment to West Point. I had Ivy League opportunities for football and baseball, and so I had some smarts. And I just said, look, I'm not gonna be these guys that dies in minor league baseball, because I feel like there's so much more I can do with life outside of that. So, they said they were fine with that, and they understood that I didn't need them, and they really didn't need me. So they sent me out shopping, and I signed with the Mets, who gave me the opportunity to catch 50% of the time back in Class A ball when I had been to Double A with the Phillies. And I started in Lynchburg, Virginia, and that was just an unbelievable year. That's where the Mets were beginning to build that great group of guys. Doc Gooden had 300 strikeouts, Lenny Dykstra. We had countless guys play the big leagues off that team. And the next year, as you guys mentioned earlier, I happened to be a guy that won championship rings in consecutive years at each level of professional baseball in the same organization. And people tell me that's not been done before. I'm like, okay, I mean, I didn't bring that up, but it had some guys that were, with these historians in baseball bring this up to me, like, well, not just in the right place at the right time. And, it wasn't me. I mean, I contributed for sure. But it was a great run there with the Mets. And so that's why I have such fond memories of my leagues.
And that run culminates with one of the things that was the impetus for us thinking about you, which is ESPN over the last few weeks has run a 4-part series, documentary on the 86 Mets called Once Upon a Time in Queens, which
yes.
for a lot of us brings back so many good memories. But also it is one of the most complicated, complex group of individuals and diverse group of individuals that you can picture on a team. And that's what made the special so good. But as somebody who was there, how do all of those different personalities mesh on a field and in a clubhouse?
Well, we didn't win again. So, I've done a lot of speaking over the years and talked with the Corporation Association. They want to know about leadership and teamwork and all that. Well, one of the things I believe in is you've got to have character. And we had characters. But as you guys know, we may not necessarily have much of, true character. I mean, we had some really crazy individuals. And, for that one year, it was phenomenal. I mean, I was a rookie on that team. I backed up Jerry Carter. And, you asked me, how was that? It was crazy. I mean, it was literally, I kept my mouth shut and did my job when called upon. But, man, I tell you, it was unbelievable that team, we just dominated that year.
Well, not only did you dominate as hitters and pitchers, but apparently as boxers, because one of the things I remember about that team and that comes across in that special is that there were a lot of fights between the Mets and other players, and sometimes it looks like amongst their own teammates. One of them, you weren't involved necessarily in the fight that I can tell, but as a result, this was a game against the Reds. I think it was in July that I remember that Ray Knight's thrown out of the game, Kevin Mitchell's thrown out of the game. You hadn't started the game, but Gary Carter, Davey Johnson's running out of players, so he moves him to third. He moves you to catcher, and Roger McDowell and Jesse Orozco are switching between right field and pitching. What was that experience like?
Well, welcome to the '86 Mets. Truly, am I echoing for you guys right now?
It's a little bit better, actually.
Okay. Well, I turned you on. I can actually see you guys now.
Oh, you can see us
on my computer.
There you
go.
So
I've got you guys on my phone here. We're online through a Zoom there, but I also have you. So I don't want to be sounding bad, but I just want to let you know I can see you now. And I don't need to see, especially one of you. No, I'm just kidding.
Believe me, there's a reason
I think he's talking about me.
There's a reason we do a radio show. I remind people that regularly. Unfortunately, now they can see us on a Zoom, so they realize there's a reason we do a radio show, but what can I do about that?
I resist it, but Jason keeps making me do it.
Yeah, I make Jeff smile.
So as
I think it's great. I think it's great. You can see you guys. I love the Zoom video interviews. I think they're great, but sorry you can't see my beautiful face. I'd be making you all look really good.
Well, as a member of that team and as a rookie, I can't imagine. I would say text, but we didn't have text back then, or emails for that matter. But what do you write home about? What do you call your parents and say?
Oh, you don't. Not in my family.
It's like when
I was raised by two very conservative, straightforward, going to church people, and so honestly, to tell you. Perlman wrote that book, The Bad Guys Won. And I don't know if you read that.
Yeah, but
Okay, well, that 30 for 30 was just a video of that book. And when my mom read that book, she said, "Oh my God, I would have had a heart attack if I'd known that was going on around you."
She didn't ask you to autograph it?
No, she did not. I doubt she kept it. And then they haven't. It's strange now you bring it up. They haven't seen that 30 for 30 yet, and they got all kind of recording devices and everything. But maybe there's a little paranoid that's watching.
They're worried about
Actually seeing it.
they're worried about what they're going to find if they watch it.
Yeah, you might
Oh
want
my
you
goodness.
might want to cut out their sports package.
Yeah, I hear you. Well,
Yeah.
it's up to them. I know that I held pretty strong in who I was as an individual, and I caught some flack occasionally about that. And the book that Perlman wrote, actually one of the when they have co-authors and other people do the pre-reads and get quotes. One of them about me was, one that was about me was, with the exception of, I can't quote figure I have in front of me, but with the exception of Gary Carter and that milk drinking angelic Ed Hearn, the rest of the team is a bunch of scumbags. I mean, that's what the guy gave the quote to Perlman. And I was like, okay, well, thank you. Angelic. Wow. Okay, thank you.
No, I guess that'll go over. But one of the stories, on a more serious note, with regard to parents, I mean, we saw the story with Keith Hernandez and the complex relationship he had with his dad.
Yes.
But one of the things that I had read about you, and correct me if I'm wrong, I hope I'm not, but is because Jason and I talk about fathers and sons and moms and sons and daughters and stuff like that a lot on the show, and how sports is related to that. And what
yes.
you happened, if I read right, your first major league home run was on Father's Day, and your parents had come to the game. If that's accurate, can you tell us what it was like to have that moment and have your parents there?
You guys just don't have enough time for me. I've got several podcasts I've been doing here, and I honestly forgot what ours was about. And I briefly looked at the guys at the Heart of Sports. I'm thinking, I think these guys want the substance that I'm about, the heart and soul of life in sports. But there again, you guys start out with the A6 Mets and all. So, hey, I'm go with that too. But you are so right. Baseball is such a great teacher of life, and it is just. I mean, I could talk about that all day. My parents, I didn't start with the team. I came up in, I think it was May 8th. And my parents flew out to see me, and I didn't play. I think I went on a West Coast road trip. No, I don't know. It was quite a bit before I played, and they stayed with the team. It's crazy. I mean, it was probably 10 days, and they're on the road with us. And then they came back on Father's Day, and to hit a home run on Father's Day, especially, maybe some fathers and some athletes are so good that, or the athletes are so good that it doesn't matter if the dad's in prison or whatever, they're going to make it. I wasn't that case. I mean, my parents, and particularly my dad, as it relates to sports, they went all out for us three kids, absolutely all out for us. They had a mom and pop print shop, and it just, for them to be there, and then a grounds crew guy, retrieves the ball for me and gives it to me in the locker room after the game. And I'm able to give that ball to my dad after the game. I mean to tell you, that was so. Oh, you are dead on. I hope you bring me back when we can talk about fathers and youth sports and things of that nature. This is just huge for me.
You have an open invitation to come back.
Jeff and I have a 4.5-year-old and a 1.5-year-old. Jeff has a son who's at college now that he coached for like little league games, and so we will definitely have you back to talk more about that, because that's
Let me bring you the full circle of life if you got time.
Yeah.
Can I run with this story about the home run Father's Day? So fast forward, and gosh, I'd have to look it up. I wrote a story about it, and it's just in my files. But I call it the circle of life. And so I'm coaching my kids, and they're probably, gosh, they must have been about 10 at the time. And we always gave a ride to one of the better players on the team. And we picked this kid up. I think it was a Sunday. We were in the last few games, and but on Saturday, we had played on a field that was way too small for our kids. Maybe they were 12, but they hit like 4 or 5 home runs on this, smaller field than what they should have been on. And so I picked this kid up in the back seat. It's Cody, my son, named after Cody Carter Hearn, and this kid Jake. Well, they got stuck talking about. They weren't talking to me. They were talking kind of quiet to themselves, and they're talking about, man, wouldn't that be great if we get to be on that field again? Well, then Cody says, yeah, man, Jake, you know what? This is Father's Day. And if we get on that field, I can hit a home run and give the ball to Dad, like he did for his dad back in 1986 when he's on the Mets.
Nice.
Well, it was just so sweet to be dropping in on that conversation of seeing. We pull up to the field, we find our field, and no, it's like 480 to left and 560 to center. I mean, huge. I mean, they had no chance of it.
You're like, it's the thought that counts.
It was a beautiful thought. So I'm sitting there behind home plate, and my son comes up about third time, and he hits an absolute rocket to right center. And he ran a little better than me, but not much better. Yeah, he ran better than me. And he rounds the inside the park home run. And they come out and high five. Well, there was no way anybody's hitting out of the park. They do that. A couple more innings later, they had their little meeting afterwards. So I was not actually coaching. Now I was sitting behind home plate in a little lawn chair. And I see Cody and Jake sprinting out of that after game meeting, post game meeting. And they sprinted back to me, and Cody's got the ball in his hands. They said, Dad, it took me 20 years. Well, I went 20 years, but I wanted to be able to give you this home run ball like you did for your dad. Oh,
I can only hope to have that one day. It's,
yes,
you know,
you
Wait, did you get to do that for your dad?
Yeah,
Did Jason hit a home run?
No, Jason wasn't. Okay, so
yeah.
here's the deal. Jeff knows Jason's level of sports acumen revolves around his ability to speak into this microphone. He's had me try out for basketball teams and other stuff and just embarrass myself.
He won't be the one throwing out
regularly.
the first pitch if we go to someplace and do
Jeff
that.
would be doing that for us.
You guys, for a couple of guys to talk about that often talk about the heart of sports and really cool, beautiful things. You guys sure bust chops pretty good.
Well, we have a good. We have
you keep leading me back into the sewer here with the Mets and all that.
To us, sports is the gateway to everything else. It's the relationships you have. It's the people that you can touch. And look, it gave you a platform. We've got like 5 more minutes, so we'll definitely have you back on to talk more. But I did want to ask you, you ended up writing a book about conquering life's curves. You've overcome cancer and kidney disease. And I read somewhere that you actually got personal letters from people when you wrote the book telling you about the impact that the book had with your story on them. Again, the sports platform that gave you this, what's it like for you to be able to have that impact on people?
All right. Gentlemen, I mean, it's going to be hard to maybe hear this, but, I came to Kansas City, traded for a guy named David Cohen. He didn't do anything.
Nope, never heard of him.
Baseball, and that's all I've heard, the worst trade all that sort of thing. And then I lose not only my career, but I lose my health in a big way. And we'll talk about that someday. But you go full circle to the point where I honestly tell you that my baseball career was not the foundation to what I've been able to do since. It's battling in the depths of really, you strike out 4 times in one game. All right, get your head out of your butt. Let's go. Let's talk about real life. I tell people all the time, a lot of great things. But I'll tell you one thing that I've come to. A little old man came up to me about 15 years ago when I was speaking. He said, Mr. Hearn, you have been from the penthouse to the outhouse and back. And you've been back in a big way. And he caught me off guard. I was like, well, thank you. Oh yeah, I guess that's good. But later, as time went on, I got to thinking about that. And truthfully, you said about baseball being a platform. God may have allowed that ground ball to roll through Bill Buckner's legs for the sake of Ed Hearn having the opportunity to do what I have done off the field, because it gave me a little tiny bit of name. I'm not a big name guy. I only got two letters in my name. I'm only Ed. Right? A short career, got cut off by an injury, but by golly, I have learned that it's not the penthouse at the World Series of life where you grow. You gotta stop laughing at me, damn it! I can see you. It's not at the penthouse of life. It's not at your World Series you grow. It's in the outhouse.
Yeah, it's when you're in the depths that you learn about yourself, you learn about other people,
Exactly.
and you learn about the people that you've been able to influence along the way. And look, we would love to keep talking to you. Unfortunately, we'll have to cut it for today because we have the end of the show. But we would love to have you back. This is what sports is about. It's about the lessons people learn and the relationships they make and the life they can build afterwards. So we're thrilled for you. You've been able to build that, and we definitely would love to talk to you some more going forward.
Absolutely, man. No problem at all. I enjoy talking to not only people like you, but really your audience. Because today, my speaking slowed quite a bit, And that was the juice in my life. I mean, I take 30, 40 pills a day, but you let me make a difference in somebody else's life because of where I've been. Nothing better. No better medicine for Ed Hearn than that.
Yeah, and we've talked to a lot of people who have written books, and for people that don't know, he has written a book called Conquering Life's Curves. And if you can, where can you get that book still?
Oh, you can go on Amazon, or you can get it for $1.99, in the old used section, or send $20 to the Ed Hearn www.bottomoftheninth.com.org.
Yeah,
whatever.
We want to have you back one day to talk about that too. We're gonna have
you bet.
to leave it here, but Jeff, I'll let you get the last word.
I got to ask one question, and hopefully we can talk to you about it again. So the Astros, another current event, Astros win the division again. We know that they're cheaters, but did they cheat in '86?
Of course. I mean, I can give you the picture.
Do you have the balls still?
He has a bag of balls.
Yeah. I can only find one right now. When they did that 30 for 30, the producer kept calling me, and he's like, I told him, I said, man, I've got a sanitary sock of those balls, the Mike Scott thing. And then he kept calling me, find those balls. I said, finally, he called me one time, and he's after me about, did you find the balls? I said, dang it, dude, all you do is you're calling me about my scratched balls. I ain't doing the interview, so forget it.
And on that note, Ed, thank you so much for coming on. We really do want to have you back to talk more about fathers and sons, and there's so much that people can learn from you.
We appreciate the time, and wish you the best of luck, and look forward to talking again soon.
Absolutely, guys. You guys keep swinging in the meantime.
Thank you so much.